Alright, so have you ever noticed how every time a new camera drops, there's this collective internet moment where people act like it's the last one we'll ever need? Like, I know you guys have been seeing that, especially with that new Canon that just dropped or is about to drop, I don't really know. Like, yup, that's it, that's the future, Canon R whatever, Sony A something, shut it down, we've peaked. Like, nah bro, we really didn't. We didn't peak, we kind of just pivoted a little bit, and I feel like that's where the whole mirrorless idea just is kind of sitting right now. This idea that mirrorless cameras are like the future of photography is not only really just short-sighted, but in my opinion it's also kind of lazy. It's a story that people kind of love to repeat, but I feel like not because it's true, but just because it sounds true. Like, it feels futuristic. No mirror, no lighter body, faster readouts. It checks all the boxes for progress, right? Except photography doesn't move in straight lines, and it never has. So let's talk about it. So here's the take of the video. Mirrorless is not the future of photography, and I'm not saying that because I think mirrorless cameras suck or because the tech is bad, but because there's no singular future of photography in general, and there really never was. So cameras evolve the same way people evolve, awkwardly, inconsistently, in circles, and sometimes backwards just to move forward again. Take DSLRs, prime example. When they were new, everyone said film is dead, but go on Instagram right now, film's not only just alive, but it's pretty much going on tour. Like, it's doing sold out shows every night type of vibe. And Gen Z photographers are starting to pay $700 for a point and shoot from 1994 or something like that. Like, you weren't even born when this camera dropped, and here you are wanting it and paying for it because you just feel this sense of attachment to it. Why? Well, because one, the experience matters, and two, it's art. You do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, whatever you feel like you need to express yourself, that's what you use. And that's the vibe, and sometimes that could be the slap of a shutter or just the limitations whatever it is that you're using may bring you. Now, mirrorless comes along with this shiny promise of lighter, faster, sharper, better. But here's the thing, we've heard all of that stuff before, and every time we get a quote-unquote new tool, not a new religion, people love to talk about how mirrorless is the logical progression from DSLRs, like it's Darwinism with megapixels or something. But you can't really apply that logic to an art form, and I feel like this is where a lot of people just get lost when it comes to the debate about this type of stuff. Because art isn't logical, and that's kind of the trap that general society leads you to believe, but not in a weird or shaking your fist at the sky type of way, but just from an interesting conversational standpoint. So let's look at what's really changed here. Mirrorless gave us a few key things: electronic viewfinders, eye tracking autofocus, quieter shutters, more compact bodies. All dope, all really cool stuff, but none of them are fundamentally game-changing for the kind of photography that most working photographers actually do. Let's be real, the size argument, in my opinion, is kind of tired because early mirrorless was pretty compact, but now I feel like that's not as much the case. Like, the Canon R3 is a beast, the Z9 is kind of a unit, and Sony's got grip extensions just to make their cameras feel usable for people with normal sized hands. Size advantage is starting to slowly, like, that gap is starting to close up a lot. And really don't even get me started on the ergonomics, because I have a Nikon DA50 and that grip is great, especially just being a regular sized man with hands. I don't feel like my hand is cramping from having to hold the camera so tight to get a decent grip on it. Now, here's the real kicker, is the image quality. And I'm not gonna lie, this is where people usually bring out but the sensors argument, and like mirrorless sensors are some sort of new magic or something, when they really aren't. I mean, the sensors in mirrorless and DSLR are often the same, and a lot of people don't realize that, or maybe even just close enough to the point where the difference is pretty much irrelevant. Not for anyone pixel peeping about 300%, but if you shoot portraits, wedding, street, landscape, even some commercial stuff, there's no night and day jump from DSLR to mirrorless. So now I have a question for you, and I want you to drop your answer to this down in the comment section down below. Do you think mirrorless cameras have created a community of better photographers, or do you think it just makes you a more efficient one? Let me know which one you agree with, or which side of that fence you stand on. Me personally, I do think it makes you really efficient because there's a lot of things that it can do to make your life a lot easier. But does that make you better? It could make your output better, yes, but you as a person holding the camera, it might not make you as good as you would like to believe. But that's my take on it, so let me know yours. But anyways, let's get back into the video. So again, I'm not saying mirrorless cameras are bad. I've used mirrorless and I've shot on mirrorless, and sometimes they are a good go-to for certain things. But I also have used a beat up Pentax 67 and a Fujifilm X Pro 2. Also a Nikon D700 that I would pretty much never sell because they're built like tanks and I just love them. They're a camera that I would never really want to get rid of because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it aside from some people saying that it's old. But the truth is, real photographers don't chase features. We chase great images and good feelings. That's why vintage gear keeps coming back, because it's not just nostalgia, it's the certain tools and the feel of those tools that really hit different. Sometimes they may slow you down, they may make you think or force you to work with a little more intention. Because when I shoot film, I take 3 photos, put the camera away. But when I shoot digital, sometimes I'll take 100 plus, maybe even 300 or 400 and 8 half of them. I'm not gonna lie. You know that feeling, especially when, you're going through your edits or looking to see how everything turned out. But I feel like this kind of brings us to another thing that nobody really wants to admit. Mirrorless is made to sell, really, and not to last. And this isn't just conspiracy talk, it's true business. Because every 12 to 18 months, we get a new model with, 0.1% better autofocus, the same sensor dressed up with new buzzwords: AI enhanced bokeh, 5-axis image stabilization, dynamic pixel remixing, or whatever the hell they be saying. It's pretty much just rinse and repeat. There's no final camera because there's no final sale, and that's fine. It's a tech cycle and a never-ending one, but I really wouldn't confuse that with an artistic process, if that makes sense. Because if mirrorless was truly the final form of photography, then why do we keep going back? Why are Gen Z photographers of all people buying old Canons off eBay and reloading, Kodak Gold like it's a ritual? Why does the entire niche of YouTube exist just for adapting vintage glass to mirrorless bodies? Why do we still freak out over Leica M3s or a Contax T2S or even the OG 5D Mark II? Because those cameras really did carry weight, and they weren't trying to be the future of whatever it is that was being talked about. They were trying to just be good at what they were. So now the question is, well, since you hate mirrorless, what's the future of photography? I'm pretty sure that's what y'all are probably saying. And honestly, there isn't one. There are futures, plural, meaning multiple, micro futures, personal paths, tools evolve, the art evolves, the culture evolves, but there's no end all be all. There's no end game here, no final boss camera that replaces everything. Mirrorless might be the now, but it's probably not going to be the forever, because think, 10 or 20 years from now, there's going to be something that we probably never heard of, like a camera with a see-through invisible sensor or some shit like that. And that's just the loop. Like, that's just the never-ending loop of technology evolving. We start out just trying to take good pictures, then we chase specs, then we realize that none of it really matters, and we go right back to where we were in the beginning. We start trying to take good pictures. So if you're out there wondering whether you should ditch your DSLR for mirrorless, or sell your Fuji for a full frame Sony, or even just upgrade the camera you already love because YouTube told you it's probably obsolete and not the best, I really want you to look and stop for a second and be like, you know what, maybe I don't really need that. It's just kind of something that I would want. Not saying you should never buy it or that it would be a waste of money to, but do you really need it is the true question that you should ask. And I feel like at the end of the day, you should just use whatever it is you want to use. Use what makes you want to shoot, because the best camera is the one that doesn't make you think about cameras. It's the one that you just love to work with. But I'm not going to keep yapping on. I appreciate you for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to know your thoughts down below. I want to know what you think about this, if you agree or disagree, and what your answer to the question halfway through might even be. So let's talk about it. But anyways, I appreciate you for watching. Remember to shoot with intention and have a good time out there. And subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on socials or support the channel, links to all that are in the description below. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.